Here's Wilson, and on the right circle, he scores!
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And a hat trick tonight, number 21, Anna-noyance.
Spectacular! Braden Holtby!
Hello and welcome once again to the Power Play Point podcast. I am your host, the Blue Liner on Point, and with me again, coming off her wonderful guest appearance, another guest appearance on the Sports on the Hill, is my beautiful, wonderful co-host from Centerville, Virginia, Anna-noyance.
I am here. Good evening, all.
Okay, and yes, welcome in all from the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the state of Maryland, as always, and to our fans all around the globe. And let's start with that, mention that. But before that, you and I haven't really talked a whole lot since last week. Not counting last night where I was kind of sitting on the sidelines, but. You recovering? You feeling better?
I am. I still have some weird, allergy thing. I thought I had pink eye this morning. It's, all the fun parts of teaching where I'm like, please don't touch my things. Like, when did you wash your hands last? Like, let's be honest. No, I'm feeling good. I just had this insane week, a lot going on at school, and then I had my mom here from California, my Winnipeg mom, and my daughter's birthday. So nothing like 2 hours for this bunch of spazzy 7-year-olds.
That's right.
Yeah, good times. So
well, did she have fun at least?
She did, and what I love about it is she is at times like a little version of me.
Of course.
Shocking. Like in that, sports, like, I was the same way growing up and very much like the tomboy. And so her birthday party list consisted of 8 boys and 2 girls. And when the moms came to drop their sons off, they're like, oh, all we hear about is, Avery this, and it's the only girl my boys will talk to or whatever. And it's awesome. And she, she'll say, I don't play with the girls at recess because they just stand in a circle and talk. And I don't know what they could be talking about. I was like, and it's 7. I said, it's probably nothing important. And you're at recess and she's playing superheroes or, and she's, or what else? I don't know, whatever else stuff she's into. The other day they were cops and robbers. I'm like, hey, bringing like the old school games back. It's my girl. So yeah, it was good, but it's draining. Like kid parties, I'm done. I just don't want to do them anymore. And I feel like every weekend there's something. And I'm like, can it be a drop off? Can I please just drop my kid off and not have to participate for 2.5 hours? So yeah, it was good. Now, how about you guys? How are you doing in Maryland?
Not too bad. Not bad at all. Work is work as always, and we're it's same old really. Not really much to discuss. Just another. It was a pretty quiet week hockey wise, and family wise, thank God, and having a little personal issues with the stepson that we won't get into too much detail here, but you just like you said, gotta take care of business with the family sometimes. So that's what's doing here, and that's pretty much it, and just bracing for, well, I don't know what's going to happen with the storm, but the windstorm we had, it blew some of the shingles off of our neighbors' roofs, and so that was a little scary. But that, of course, this past weekend. But yeah, other than that, pretty quiet. So
Yeah.
not much to report here. So
Yeah, and like you said, minimal hockey stuff, but good hockey stuff.
oh yeah, definitely. We'll definitely get into that. In fact,
Yeah.
why don't we just go ahead and start with that, with
Okay.
our usual recap. But stuff's coming to me as I'm thinking of it. Before we get to that, of course, I mentioned you were on Sports on the Hill last night.
I was.
And lest we forget about that. Now, I usually what I do is I like to listen to the replay in the archives so that I make sure I don't miss anything. But
Right.
last night I decided to listen to it live. But I was kind of on the sidelines,
Right.
and I chimed in with a few comments. But
Yes, I saw one.
yeah, but you guys you did some Caps talk, and
Yes.
so I mean, you feeling good about being kind of a pretty much a regular contributor to the show now?
And I am. Carol and Robbie are, well, as you know, like they're just really great guys and knowledgeable, and I, it's fun as like even when you and I when we do our podcast, that each of us has something different to bring to the table, kind of thing, and I like that aspect, and I'm super humbled that they have even asked me to come back, which is great. So yeah, I'm excited, and we did some of the recap stuff, and then we talked about some of the California games, because I'm a little nervous about tonight with the Ducks, but and I said it last night, and I'm standing by it. It's like 100%. If our boys can pull off this Ducks game, I think that's what's going to make or break the California series, because this is a tough team. And I've even said in the past that sometimes I don't give Anaheim enough credit, for being a good team. I kind of, in my head, I'm always thinking, like when I think of California, me personally, I'm always like, oh, the Sharks and the Kings. This isn't a team to joke around with. I mean, they've got some heavy hitters on their team, and I'm just hoping that we're riding the high from the stadium win, which I thought was awesome, and they looked good. That if they can win this Ducks game, I feel like they could take the series.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. You got a point there. Historically, the West Coast trip has never been all that great for the Caps. And I think this is a team, the Ducks that is fighting for their playoff lives. That Pacific Division didn't at all turn out to be what everybody thought it was going to be. You got Vegas running away with it, but then it's a logjam with the Ducks, Kings, and Sharks, and the Flames all trailing behind within several points of each other. So Anaheim could finish anywhere from second to fifth, and they're fighting for their playoff lives. So like you said, they are not to be taken lightly. And so it'll be a very, very interesting game tonight. And the thing to look for, as I always say, from a standpoint, if you want to look for it, and unfortunately, due to the timing, everybody will probably be listening to this after the fact, but you want to look at the first 10 minutes, how the Caps come out. Look at their body language. Look at how intense. Are they laid back? Are they letting the play come to them like they've been told not to do? Or are they dictating the play? Are they not chasing the game? Are they forcing the play, or are they just chasing the game again? And that's in the first 10 minutes at the beginning of a long road trip is always key as to how it will turn out. So that again will be something to look for. And also the fact that, like you said, they're coming off of a great high from the outdoor game win. You don't want the next game to be any sort of a letdown. So it really, really need to avoid that as well.
Right, and where we are in the season, this is a momentum that just needs to keep going. Are we gonna, ebb and flow a little bit? Of course, but now is not the time when we are headed, to the West Coast, because, Carol brought up last night, he brought up a good point. It's like, listen, the team travels all the time. So, traveling by plane is not anything new to these guys. And they're traveling to California, which, okay, it's a 3-hour time difference, but that's not a reason that should throw your game off.
No.
And I said very sarcastically, last night, I know, shocking sarcastically, but I said, I've done the flight a bunch of times. So it's like, yeah, it's a 3-hour time difference, and you're kind of like a little sluggish, maybe like the first day or so, but nothing, it's not like you're flying to New Zealand or, somewhere where the time change is going to be, you leave in the morning, you land at night, or the next morning, and your days are all confused. It's like, okay, come on, guys. This isn't the first West Coast trip you've done. It's not going to be the last one, and now's not the time to, suddenly feel tired. So I'm hoping they're riding that Stadium Series win, because I think for some reason that win just really, I don't know, kind of a little spark under them for some reason. I don't know if it was just the whole patriotic outdoor stadium. A lot of them probably grew up, outdoor rinks, and kind of getting back. There was family there. It was just a really cool series to watch. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I'm kind of sorry I didn't get tickets to it. Now, I mean, of course, it was cold as Finland, but it's like, I think I would have been willing to layer up and take off the flip-flops to have gone to that game.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it much more after our quick little recap here. But I really, really, really wanted to be there. It was almost literally in my backyard in Annapolis. I've been to that stadium many, many times for different events, Navy games, things like that. And it's a beautiful, beautiful arena, beautiful venue, and just absolutely loved the way they did everything. Could not have been better with the actual game presentation, the NBC crap aside. But yeah, that was even with, of course, we enjoy the result, but the presentation, the pageantry is always something to behold. So a quick programming note here. I'm doing a little bit of wrangling with a friend of mine. Speaking of that game, who was there? Guy by the name of Ron Schronce. I happened to go to high school with the guy. And he was actually there. He took some pictures, was kind enough to post them at the PowerPoint Podcast Facebook site, so you can see them there. And so we hope to have him on a little bit later on in the recording to get his point of view as to how the game was and what that was like being there. But of course, as we always do, we'll recap the last few games. There were only two. Besides the outdoor game, well, there was only one, actually, and that was the game against Ottawa 3 or 4 days before, the Tuesday before, actually exactly a week ago, and they were winners in that 3-2, and they kind of sort of look good. Some of the elements of their game look good, but some others did not. Others not so much. For example, wow, it's so when have I ever said this before? Seven power play opportunities given to the Ottawa Senators. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so here we go again. We're feeding the cat X-Lax because he can't stay out of the box, and way too many opportunities for, and fortunately they sucked donkey droppings as far as the power play this year, thank goodness. But
right.
They only converted one out of those 7 chances. But I mean, you cannot.
But still.
Yes, exactly. You cannot give any team that many chances. and they almost paid for it. They almost gave the game away. Some guy named, I don't know, Eric Carlson, ever heard of him? He closed the gap in the third period to make it 3-2 early on, and the team hung on for dear life and forgot they had an extra period to play after the first two, as they always did. But thank goodness for both Yevgeny Kuznetsov and Tom Wilson, who scored all the goals. Kuznetsov with his 18th and 19th, and Wilson with his 11th.
Right. But you have to admit that the wraparound with 14 seconds left with Kuzi was the shit. Like that, when I watched that goal, I thought, you know what? There he is. There's the Kuzi from. I've been waiting to kind of come out all season. He hasn't had a terrible season, but he also hasn't been a name that we've talked about every week. And I think that wraparound goal was him. Only he can do that, and he did it. And it was, with 14 seconds left, and it was awesome, and it was great to see it. And I was happy to see that he got it, because I think having a 2-goal game really boosts his confidence.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. And yeah, you got a point. We haven't seen that swagger in his game, and it looks like he's finally getting that back. And we saw that.
Well, and I think we've seen it, and it's failed. And so, they're trying, and it's sort of like you have this move, and it works so great, and everyone's expecting it, and then you epically fail so many times, and people are like, okay, enough, like try something else. And I feel like he's like, no, like this is my thing, and I'm going to do the wraparound, and because I can, and one of these days it's going to go in. And so hopefully, tonight or in the series in California, we'll see more of that style play, that style shooting. I think it's just a talent. It's sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me.
Right. So the other game. That was probably, I mean, not probably, but one of the best, certainly one of the best games they've played in recent memory. They finally seemed to put together a 60-minute effort. And
I agree.
It really gave the fans their money's worth as far as that goes. So I was really, really happy to see that. I
was too. And I was asked by Robbie last night, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if it was stupid of me not to mention Ovechkin, because he had said, is there anything that stood out to you during the game? And to me, it was like the Ovechkin, 598, was awesome to see. It was definitely a highlight, but there was other things that I was looking at. And I think, and I agree with you, like I felt that they looked refreshed. And I was so happy, and I thought the lines looked good. I thought they came together, and it looked like not only were they giving it 100%, like you said, for 60 minutes, but I also feel like they were enjoying themselves. That it wasn't, trying too hard or getting sloppy. They were just in their groove. I think it's exactly what they needed. And then of course my boy, Frana. I mean, come on. That was awesome. He needed that. What was it, 25 games without scoring. And so I was so excited to see that because I felt like that's what he needed. And let's hope that Barry doesn't, make him a healthy scratch for the next little bit. But I don't think he will.
That was actually, I think that was the goal that brought a lot of fans out of their seats. It was I don't want to overplay it. I don't want to overblow it, but it really, really was an electrifying goal because he was able to showcase his speed, his talent, and I mean, it was absolutely perfect the way they just found him, and on that breakaway, Orlov dug out the puck, got it to Kuznetsov, who has the vision, and just found Vrana, who was streaking out of the neutral zone, and just nailed him with that pass, and then he was just off to the races. And that was the game was kind of slipping out of hand anyway, but that goal was just, I mean, that was just beautiful. There's no other word to describe it. I loved seeing that.
I was out of my seat clapping and just like, proud mom moment kind of thing, because I've been saying, aside from Tommy, who yay scoring with Ottawa, has, I've been pulling for Wilson, and he has not, disappointed me at all this season. And Vrana was the one I was really pulling for from the beginning, and all those healthy scratches just kind of, they irked me, but he did like exactly why he needs to be on the Washington Capitals. That speed is sick. And like you said, like Kuzi, somehow manages to pass it to a teammate, and how he does it with such perfection and precision blows my mind. But Vrana he did exactly what we needed him to do. And I was I was out of my seat. Like, that's my boy. Super, really excited for him. So I'm hoping that continues with him.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before at the beginning of the season, but that right there, Caps fans, is your immediate future. That's the future of the Capitals right there. Those two guys. Yep. They are going to carry this team into the 2020s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully, that it just keeps on being a thing where they all improve and they keep on gelling together. So, it really was a sight to behold. And of course, final score 5-2. Caps get the win amongst just an absolutely fabulous setting. The whole design on top of where it looked, the rink was, on top of the aircraft carrier layout, and
right, which was insane. And I thought that at first, I thought when I was reading ahead of like how they were going to, put this all together, and I thought, am I reading this right? Like, they're going to do what? And how is that going to look? And I loved it. I mean, you said that you missed a little bit of the beginning, but I will say that I was having this super cheesy 80s flashback moment of they had bagpipe players who played, the
Top Gun anthem. Yep.
And I'll tell you, I mean, it's like, I don't know a girl who doesn't love that movie for like the volleyball scene alone. But that song, you just can't help but be like, fuck yeah. Like, I love that movie. I loved that volleyball scene. And when and then bagpipes, like, you just can't go wrong. You can't. And so I thought that was the coolest way for them to come out. It was just good. And I feel, it was a good vibe. And I heard, Babcock saying that they didn't, his team didn't come, giving it 100%. You kind of have to like like a coach that calls out his own team. And it's like, listen, we didn't play nearly as well as the Caps. If the Capitals are hearing it from their coach, it's even better when you hear it from another coach. Like that, hey, yeah, your boy showed up and they kicked my team's ass. So, hey, hats off, to you. Like, that's awesome. So that was, I don't know, it was cool. I feel the same way. I'm kicking myself for not getting tickets, but I think it was a financial, monetary issue.
Yeah, as it was, unfortunately, with a lot of us.
Right.
I could said it to death. I really, really, really would have loved to have been there, but somebody who was there, as I mentioned before, is a good friend of mine, Ron Schronce, and we're going to see if we can get him on here through the magic of technology. So actually going to pause a bit here. Anna, still have you there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, I
Ron?
gotcha. Yeah.
Awesome,
Hey,
awesome. Yeah, it's going great, Doing the show now. So I got
Nice.
Anna on with me. Anna, say hi.
Hi, Ron.
Anna, hi, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much for coming on and for posting those pictures. They were awesome.
Oh, great, man. I tell you, it was a great time.
Yeah, we were just talking about. I'll say I'm a little jealous, and I'm kicking. I'm
We both
kicking
are.
myself because. Yeah. I was saying.
I tell you, hold on, let me turn my speaker on really quick.
Sure.
Oh well, I'll just put my ear up to it. That'll be better. Right at the last minute, I was like, gosh, man, I don't know if I want to sit on the end zone, because I was like, I pay $127 to sit at the end zone or whatever. And then a friend of mine hit me up and was like, look, we've got a 50-yard line ticket, up in the upper section. But, I mean, and it was way up there, but I tell you what, the view of the ice was absolutely spectacular. And
That's so great.
Yeah. And I truly got to be honest with you, as many sporting events as I've been to in my short 43 years on this earth.
I'm 43 on Saturday, so it's okay.
Well, happy early birthday to you, Anna. It was I'm going to chalk it up as probably the greatest experience I've ever actually had at a sporting event in my life.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so happy to hear that because I felt like I was like a little kid in a candy store, like stupid excited to watch it. I didn't think I would be so excited, but I was just telling Gil before we got you on the call, that bagpipes, what a great way to kick off the game. And Top Gun. I mean,
Top Gun, yep.
Right? And so, I mean, but it was like between that and the curling team. Like I want to have beers with those guys.
I mean, they are. They're like the dads you want to have beers with. They're
Totally.
like a bunch,
Totally. Because, I mean, like, there's some, like, a-hole dads out there that you're like, oh, sit down, get out of my face. And then there's, like, those guys that I'm like, yes, let's go to happy hour. Teach me curling. Like, I know nothing about it, but you guys, I want to hang out with you. And the girls' hockey team. I mean, come on. What a great night.
I know. It was everything that I could have expected and more. And I just got to tell you, I mean, it was – so I just moved back to Maryland this year from living up in Boston for almost a decade. And great experience up there. I got to go to Fenway whenever I wanted to.
You're a man after Anna's heart. Anna happens to be a big Red Sox fan here, so
Gil, we may have to end our podcast. I may have to start talking to Ron more because Boston, second favorite city, and love great. Massachusetts, and huge Fenway fan. The times I could afford to go.
Yep.
An amazing experience. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was, but the thing is when I lived up there, the thing that I found was that my hometown pride grew so much more. Like when the O's would come to town, like it meant so much more. When the Caps would beat the Bruins, it meant the world. Like, I don't know, it just accelerated everything. And I was kind of disappointed when Maryland left the ACC because, that was when I first moved there, they were still playing Boston College. And, so that was kind of disappointing, but oh well, it is what it is. But another thing when I was up there, I became a huge college hockey fan.
Boston College.
Good place for
BC Yeah,
Yeah.
BC, BU,
BU.
Harvard, Northeastern. Like, I mean, you're talking about all these teams that are consistently in the top 20 of the nation, and you know, they were within 15 minutes of my home, all of them. It was crazy, but
So crazy.
yeah. So great experience. But anyway, the reason why I say that, it was like my hometown pride like built up so much more, especially like my hometown of Annapolis, Maryland. And you know, it was great that CBS, you know, would play all the Navy games. You know, so that I could see them up there in Boston, and you know, and I would look down and be like, oh my God, that's, you know, that's where I'm from. That's Annapolis. Everybody, you know, look, yeah. And then, you know, I moved back here, and then to have them actually play, and I hadn't been, I mean, you know, I'd been to Caps Bruins games up at TD Garden, but I had not been to a home Caps game in years. I mean, probably 15, almost 20 years. And
so can I stop you for just one sec?
Sure, go right ahead.
Gil, did you hear how he pronounced the stadium in Boston?
Yes. It's
you?
a joke, Anna. Go with it. Well, okay, so I need to jump in here. So I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting my manners. Well, Anna and I have this thing where I if I mispronounce something from that area or do a Boston accent, she gets super annoyed with me. So I've tried to cut down on that. But I'm also forgetting my manners here. Some of our listeners may not know who it is we're talking to. So just want to do some proper introductions. This young gentleman, sure, I had the pleasure of going to Arundel Senior High School with for several years. He graduated 1 year behind me, class of '93. Yeah, I'll save you the trouble. He said he's 43. I'm 44. And yeah, we did the drama, a lot of the drama shows together, and you know, went our separate ways. And one thing I want to say, I want everybody to know this game, I think, meant a lot to Ron personally as well, because, and it's kind of funny because the spring musical his senior year, he was one of the leads in a musical called Dames at Sea, and he played. I was the lead. Yeah, and he absolutely. I had the pleasure of watching that show, he was the lead character as is a sailor the name of Lucky, and what was funny is he went on to enlist in the United States Navy some years later. So he was a sailor on the stage, and he was a sailor in real life. And so I bet that this game meant a whole lot to you, being back at home, pretty much, you know, back in your backyard at that stadium with the Navy being properly represented. So what did that mean to you?
Yeah, no, it really, you have to understand, like, absolute, everything about it was, that, you know, the fact that I am, you know, a veteran of the Navy, everything about it, coming back home, yes, it meant a tremendous amount to me. Like, I can't even, it's hard to even put into words, and I think that's why it was, like, the greatest thing that I could have ever gone to as far as a sporting event. I mean, I want to attend a Super Bowl someday, and I think that would probably maybe trump this. Excuse the word. But seriously, this was, I mean, just the whole pomp and circumstance of the whole thing, like the everything that went on before, in between the intermissions. Like you said, the curling team, and when the guy, you know, tossed that, you know, slid that rock right down, and it hit right in the exact center of the damn ice.
Like, how cool was that?
Me? Yeah. Yes, I was like, are you kidding me right now? I was like, there had to be a magnet or something there. Like, I can't.
Right. Well, and I
just,
kept thinking, like, oh my God, they've been showing on the news all the tailgaters. And I was like, I'm sure those guys are drinking it up, and they're probably like, oh shit, I'm so wasted. And they're like, shut up, I got it. You know,
oh
like,
yeah.
They were having a good old time.
Who knows? Maybe that's how they ended up with the gold, being slightly inebriated.
Right? I don't give a crap. Like, let's just go with it. We're some, cool guys from America. Let's take this thing. Yeah.
There's definitely two sports I play better when I've been inebriated, and that's pool and ping pong. So maybe curling is one of those other ones I should try.
Darts and bowling for me, but that's okay. That's a show for another time. But yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, and and the thing is, I could see the fact that it looked like the Caps were just absolutely pumped. They felt such a hometown advantage for this event. They came out just on fire with so much pressure, and they were skating faster, just getting more shots. In our defense, God, I praise them so much. There's a little bit of, I'm not sure what's going on with Holtby right now. He definitely, looked, I think he got better as the game went on, but man, that first period, just like everything just kind of kept going past. But I think, thank God, we only had that one goal, but I think that was the first shot on goal and it went in, right?
So what was the mood of the crowd, given Holtby's recent problems, at least in that first period or so? Because he did look a little shaky at least in the first 10, 15 minutes or so.
Yep. I mean, I had a few people around me. I actually went, one of the three people that I went with, the gentleman was a Leafs fan, and he even said, he was like, well, hopefully Holtby will stay shaky like this and we'll be able to catch up and, at least stay close with you guys. But right now you guys are out skating the heck out of us. And I was like, yeah. And, but I think our defense really stepped up, helped him out. And I think that probably, maybe potentially could have been what got his confidence back. And, it led him on to victory, ultimately. The third period, I think he did receive a little bit more pressure, and obviously it was a scoreless, period for both teams. So, but that was good. But yeah, not major mentions of it. I think everybody was, instead of focusing on Holtby, was just taking in what they were experiencing as far as the event, looking down on the ice, seeing the fact that the rink was placed on top of a mock aircraft carrier. I mean, my God, I looked down, I'm like, oh my God, there's a little teeny like model plane on the little flight deck thingy there, or no, that's the landing deck. What am I talking? I served on an aircraft carrier actually. Yeah, rest in peace, USS Enterprise, CVN 65. She's gone now, unfortunately. But yeah, it just, oh my God. From start to finish, just the whole thing. I mean, there was fireworks going off, in between goals, when they did the gold medal ceremony for the women's hockey team. Everybody started chanting USA, USA, and it was a very proud moment. And yeah, and you want to know what's crazy is that, okay, so USA women's hockey team, they were there, that night, and the next day, so when I got home, I DVR'd the game because I wanted to see what it looked like on TV. And I was like, very cool. Seeing the ceremonies up close is what I, got out of that, thought was amazing. But Yeah, the next morning anyway, I kind of skimmed through it when I got home that night, but the next morning I wanted to wake up and actually watch the entire game on the DVR. And but the thing that I noticed is that when I, finally woke up from my drunken stupor of the night before, I see that USA is playing France in soccer, women's soccer, and I look at the TV and I'm like, oh, this is live. And then they're like, oh, here is the USA women's hockey team.
Oh, no way.
And I'm like, oh my God, they actually got on a flight at BWI and flew to France to be at this hockey game the next morning to do an appearance.
That's crazy.
So they're busy. They're pretty
Oh, they
busy.
are. They
but-
were like on Ellen and Jimmy Fallon and just
Yeah.
riding the high. And I thought, you know what, I'm not getting tired of seeing it because well deserved. Certainly,
Absolutely.
they did exactly what I wish it wasn't in a shootout, but the fact that it was and we won was awesome. But
Yeah.
I was glad to see just the stadium as a whole at the stadium series, just embracing them, the curling team, the armed forces. I mean, it was great, and I agree. I think that the Caps came out, they looked refreshed, they looked good, and they were in sync. And I'm ready for them to hopefully kick ass in California. But this first game has me a little bit nervous about tonight. But I'm hoping that they get this.
I think they'll
me
be
too.
fine. But getting back to the women's team, it's kind of funny. USA Hockey is really getting their money's worth out of this victory tour. And which is kind of funny when you consider that it was I believe it was about a year and a half ago that we almost didn't have a women's team, at least for a while because of that pay dispute. And I bet the admins at the USOC and USA Hockey are pretty happy they figured that out now because obviously they're bringing home the gold, and that's a team that's probably going to keep on being competitive even in the Olympics to come, I think. But that's my 2 cents about women's hockey. I'm very quick to stick up for the women's game, so I'm going to continue to do so. Absolutely. I love to see them defend their gold in 4 years. I think they'll do it. But steering back towards the Caps here, or at least the Stadium Series game. So what else? I mean, what else stood out to you, Ron, as someone being there? And I want to kind of preface this by saying, obviously we honor and cater to the vets in the military too. A lot of our listeners, Chris Levesque, of course, Army veteran, Tony Olcott also served on a carrier, I believe, Navy veteran. So a lot of we got a lot of guys that serve. So want to honor them. But so what else besides the game itself and the ceremony did you kind of notice that stuck out to you as part of your experience there?
I think what stuck out to me was there was a pretty good amount of Leafs fans there as well, and I think that between both us, Caps fans and Leafs fans, I think that we were all just so hung up in how cool the whole thing was, if you will, just the whole event, that the camaraderie between the two fans was absolutely magnificent. Even though we were, beating them pretty badly, they were like, a couple fans even said to me, like, I kind of want to see you guys do this today, to be honest with you. It's your turf. And I was like, oh, come on, you're just saying that because we're beating you, But, that is good camaraderie. And I think that, even, people that were necessarily that happened to be lucky enough to be there that were not that big of hockey fans per se, I think that they even probably were just so caught up in, like I said, the entire event. From what was going on outdoors before the game to what took place inside. It was just, I really, it's hard for me to put it into one word. I mean, fantastic, exuberant, but whatever. I can't. We need to make up a whole new word, like hawk exuberant or something like that. I don't know.
I saw the replay of the ceremony where the two teams came out and the bagpipes and all that, and the both national anthems. And after all of that, I mean, I think this describes it perfectly. Mike Emmerich, who has, as far as hockey events go, has seen it all and done it all and been through it all, and he had no words. He was blown away. You could hear it in his voice. I don't think he had ever seen anything like that, ever. And that just, you mentioned hometown pride, because I've lived in the Annapolis, Anne Arundel County, Maryland area most of my life too, and I just could not have been prouder at that moment of the spectacle that was. And though I couldn't be there, it was just something to see, something I certainly will never ever forget for the rest of my life. And I'm hoping that if they do come back around to the Baltimore, Washington area and do another outdoor game, I am certainly going to see if I can find a way to get there, because there's absolutely nothing like it from what I could tell.
Yes. And, the thing is, it's like the thing you got to remember about the seating as far as compared to other outdoor games that happen at professional stadiums or whatever, Naval Academy has an advantage in their stadium just for this specific kind of event, because all of their front row seats are all around the course, especially on the end zone, raised up in the air. So there was not a seat in the house there where you did not get a view of at least part of the ice. That was, I think, some of the biggest motivation for this to be such a successful game, especially, a successful experience for the fans, because I have heard, some of the stories about the front rows at like Fenway Park and even at Nat Stadium, where people in the first few rows, there was just, there was no ice view at all. And so I think that I'm not sure. To me, I think that the Naval Academy was a once-in-a-lifetime chance of thing for me, at least in my lifetime, or at least in our lifetime sort of thing. But that's why I just was trying my best to see if I could somehow get to it, because I just didn't want to miss it for the world. But and then it just turned out to be an ultimate experience for every fan that was involved in that stadium, especially because you had the extra added ceremonial military experience to it, with all of the history, especially behind United States Naval Academy and, my God, the city of Annapolis alone. So it was just, it was truly, there was a none better setting that this could have ever taken place. It's a shame that it wasn't the actual Winter Classic, but I think that this pretty much, said enough for itself that this was, the ultimate outdoor hockey event of the year.
For sure, sure, definitely. And Ron, it was, I mean, if I couldn't be there myself, neither of us, Anna and I, couldn't be there, I'm certainly glad somebody like you could enjoy it, could be there, could be a part of it, especially, like I said, being a veteran of the United States Navy. I'm really glad that, that whole thing could be a part of it. They could honor it, honor all of those who served, and it's just, I never get tired. I myself never get tired of seeing that. The joke when I was growing up is that I'm an Army brat in a Navy town, but branches of the service are branches of the service, and we honor them all, and that's right. That was absolutely great to see. So, okay, well, all right. So we're running a bit long on time here, but I think Ron,
Yep.
you absolutely captured the spirit of somebody who experienced it there. I kind of feel like by the way you described it that I kind of was there, so I feel better about not having to go. But Ron, absolutely wonderful having you on, and thank you so much for doing this.
It was absolutely my pleasure. Not everybody that I talk to actually, gets to understand exactly what I'm talking about. But obviously, with your forum, I think that people, it felt good to get it off my chest.
Okay,
to say the least.
Absolutely. So if you want to, and I'm going to extend you an open invitation to like we do with some of our other listeners, like Chris. If you wanna come on the show again, you let me know. You got an opinion about how the Caps are playing, and you want to get something off your chest. Just give me a jingle, on however, FB Messenger or however, and you are welcome anytime, my friend.
Oh, I really appreciate it, and hopefully Ovi gets over this milestone really soon. I think he's on his way.
Yeah,
I think so too. Ron, it was great to meet you over Skype. And maybe we'll all get together in person at some point. Let's hope it's during a win. And man, I feel excited after listening to you talk. So I'm like kind of excited. Like I watching the game here, and it was from the anthems, both of them. That's how they're supposed to be done. Not Fergie, not anybody else. Just stick to it, and that's what just makes. It was a very proud moment, and I'm glad you had a great time, and thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure, and it was also great to hear the O in the stadium too.
Right.
So anyway, I don't want to run it past you guys too much, so I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'll stop adding in. Okay.
All right, Ron, thanks again. You couldn't have presented yourself any better. Obviously, you still got the showmanship in you that from our high school days.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
All right.
Have a good night, Ron.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me on,
thanks
guys.
Again.
Have a good one.
All right. So that was my good friend Ron Schronce, who had the absolute pleasure of being at that game. And I hope everybody listening got a nice little taste of what it was like to be a part of that. I think I certainly did. And it
Absolutely.
Really, like I said, it really, the next time they come around, whether it's Nat Stadium or maybe Camden Yards,
we're going.
We're gonna find a way to go, and we're gonna make it.
Right.
We're gonna make it a show event. So hopefully that won't be too far in the future, but yeah, that was absolutely powerful what he had to contribute there, and I'm glad he had some time. Now he did also mention something pertinent. Now that we kind of steer things back to the Caps, we have a player who is approaching a milestone, that being Alex Ovechkin, and his next 2 goals will be his 600th, and he will join a very elite club. I want to pose a quick question to you, Anna. Do you think that's starting to become a distraction, or is it just going to be another thing that they get past?
I think this season he is so driven and so dedicated and competitive and whatever else you want to call it, that he's going to go after it. It's not a distraction. If anything, it's going to just drive the momentum of the team, because every time he scores, that team comes together in a group hug and they're super happy for him. But you know what? When Tom Wilson scores, same kind of love. Carlson scores, Kuzi. We didn't even talk about Backstrom's goal. That's the team, and I think they're all rooting for him, but I don't think it's a distraction. I think it's a motivator.
Okay, yeah, sounds good, and I would agree. I would Pardon me. I just posed the question because sometimes you get into a situation where a personal milestone starts grabbing the headlines, and that does something to a locker room. But like you said, not so in this case, because everybody on the team shares in the effort. And exactly as you said, this season, Ovechkin, the captain, seems a lot more focused on what needs to be done, a lot more focused on what the team needs to accomplish before his career ends. And
right. And I think, you know, he's one for veteran players and one for, you know, rookies more or less, in which he's looking at it like, yeah, I got this, but I want to get the cup, because the cup is the team. It's something for him. It's something for the city. It's, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's his goal. And he's on the team, and he is going to rally them together. And I think we've kind of had a focus of his 600th goal, and then Holtby kind of doing like, what the hell's going on with him? I'm glad that neither one of them became a distraction, because we had Grubauer, who stepped up and has kicked ass recently. But you know what? Holtby, maybe you mentioned it, sit him out, humbled a little bit. It's hard to, you know, get pulled from a game. Any game, it sucks. You know, you're not being benched, but more or less you're being benched. And I think now it's the time to get him back in like that Holt beast mode, and keep it going, and the Ovechkin thing keep going, but it's not going to overshadow anything. I think they'll acknowledge the 600th goal, and everyone will be like, woohoo, and then it's like back to work. And I think he's going to get it back home when they play the Jets on Monday.
Hopefully so. Yeah, and I think you pretty much said it all there. Okay, so we're gonna, now that you mentioned that game, we're gonna segue out a little bit. Nothing's been finalized yet. We're still kind of trying to put this together, so it may not actually come together. But speaking of that game and around Anna's birthday, what we're trying to kind of put together, me and another friend of mine, old friend of mine, Pete Fisher, we're trying to get together a Power Play Point podcast meet and greet get together. Yeah, what we're looking to do is we're looking to do a Power Play Point podcast listener kind of sort of meet and greet, a meetup or whatever. So yeah, we're just going to extend an invitation. I'm not sure that we're actually going to do it because it's still in the planning stages, but what we'd like to do ideally is kind of have like a private party or something like that over at the Bar Louie that is down by Capital One Arena. And that
which would be awesome, and I'm all for it, but it's so hard on Monday night.
Yeah, it is. And add on top of that, unfortunately, that we're going to be having some weather issues that day. So that's what's kind of sort of making things kind of iffy, but we're going to see what we can do. But anyone who is interested in that, leave a comment over at the Facebook page, or you can contact Anna or myself through. Hopefully you know the contact mediums by now. My email address, glhallowed@yahoo.com. And Anna, of course, over at Instagram is her main contact.
Yep, at Aquanox49.
And wonderful pics I've seen there, by the way. Sorry I was late about liking those.
That's all right. I'll forgive you this time.
But
I have enough other stalkers, so don't, they feed into the ego. Just kidding. Kidding.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So, yeah, so that just wanted to throw that out there as an option for any listener, old or new, however long you've been following the show. But you want to meet us in person, and Pete as well, because he's kind of this is his baby, and he's more or less trying to organize it. But it's mainly for that game and a little something as well for Anna's birthday. which is this coming Saturday. I haven't forgotten. And no, never. You didn't forget mine.
I did not, and you never told me how the cake was.
Cake was wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Good. I couldn't jump out of it because it was a little small, but I was like, you know what? He'll be okay with
If you had jumped out of it, I think I would have had something of a coronary episode.
Probably. Yeah, because you'd be like, damn, you've ruined an entire chocolate cake. All right, listen, yeah, family just walked in. I know my dog's going to go in a few minutes because it's time to go for a walk. Yeah, if we can get something going, if you're going to be there, I will do everything I can to be there on that Monday. But we've got that weather that just sucks, and the fact that it's a Monday night. But then I'm so torn because they are playing the Winnipeg Jets, which is like, you know, my mom's favorite team, and kind of like that family rival, you know, from the Peg. But we will see. And your friend, you know, Pete, I'm sorry. I'm trying. We'll figure something out. If it doesn't happen, I don't know. We'll meet up at some point.
Oh, we definitely will. If not this time, then certainly somewhere down the road. Yeah, my intent was to keep this down to 45 minutes, but obviously, I mean, I didn't want. I mean, you heard the man. The man was just gushing, and if you heard the joy in his voice at being there. So I hope that kind of rubs off on everybody. So I mean, I figure, you know.
It was infectious.
Absolutely.
He did great, and yeah, thanks.
Yeah, want to thank
great.
Ron Schronce once again for coming on with us and relating his experience. And so tonight is a 10 o'clock Eastern puck drop with Anaheim against the Ducks, which kicks off the Western road trip. So we're gonna, like I said, look for that. Hopefully there's no letdown and keep the momentum going here as we swing towards the playoffs. They are hanging on ever so precariously to the Metro Division lead. Now got both PA teams breathing down their neck, but let's see what happens here, and hopefully they can hang on. Anna, any final thoughts?
No, I'm amped about the show. I'm amped about this California series, and let's go Cavs.
All right, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, do please remember to refill the toilet paper, or else your spouse will have a coronary episode on you sometime in your near future. And let's go Caps.
This has been another episode of the Power Play Point Podcast. All episodes are available from Apple Podcasts, the Podbean app, BlueLiner77.podbean.com, and now available from Stitcher. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.